So here we have an example of kind of the newly redesigned UDL lesson planner. And you'll see we've taken some things out that we emphasized last year, but we left those central elements in that are the key to proactive lesson design that's going to eliminate barriers for students and create a flexible learning environment. As I take a look through the planner, you'll see the top is virtually the same, where you've got the spot for the standard. And in this particular case, we're dealing with a standard from a fifth grade science class about supporting an argument that the gravitational force exerted by Earth, on objects is directed down. And we've got clarification statement and the assessment boundary statement here as well. Remember from last year, we take that standard and we try to break down the language into skills, what we're asking kids to do, and concepts, what we want our students to know. And it might be that they need to know those things to be able to perform the skill. So they might be intertwined, but we're separating them out here so that we're clear on what are the concepts that we're teaching and what these skills are that we are teaching. As we move down here, we've taken these different these different verbs and nouns from the statement, and we've used them to create goal statements for students. So kind of like what are the main ideas or main goals that we would want students to learn about during this unit. And just a couple examples here. Students will understand how gravity pulls objects to the center involving mass and distance. Students will understand what variables may affect gravity. These goal statements are essential to understanding the overall standard, and they're kind of listed out here. If I move down here, we've selected a couple goal statements that are the focus for this lesson. We've tried to highlight them based on whether they're a skills goal or a concept goal. And then underneath that, we've got our assessment. The assessment part of the planner doesn't necessarily mean writing your test or creating your project. What it might involve is taking your goal statements and kind of making them your criteria, and then leveling them from maybe secure to developing, just to get an idea of what a secure student would be able to do in terms of that goal, and what someone who's proficient would be able to do, and then maybe what someone would who's still developing, how that would look. It's trying to create clear expectations for you as an instructor that will help drive the materials and the lessons that you create. It will also provide a clearer picture for your students on what they need to do to achieve success in this particular unit or lesson. It is crucial to the planning process. As we move further down here, you'll see the most changed part of the planner, which is that last part. Now, last year, we kind of had the four barriers, maybe the Fab Four, whatever you want to call them, but the four barriers that you were attempting to plan for or to plan ways around for students. Well, now what we've done is we're really not looking at the Fab Four any longer. We're trying to think about how can we change our learning environment to improve accessibility for students in our classroom. That's really the focus for this year. And this top layer of the UDL guidelines and these particular checkpoints all deal with access. Access in terms of recruiting interest and engagement, access in terms of perception, and access in terms of action and expression. Our focus for this year as a district is really to see if we can proactively plan for students to have greater access within our classrooms in not just one lesson per quarter, but in each and every lesson that we try to take on this year and that we attempt to teach to our students. In this particular science lesson, which was kind of a unit, the teacher dealt with access in multiple different ways. You can see here she's addressed checkpoints 7.1 and 7.2, and then the statement underneath, how will you continue to provide access? And I like this statement here. I can always offer the option of students recording their notes in a notebook, organizer, or Google Doc, and provide resources for students of different levels. And that really addresses these checkpoints up here, 7.1 and 7.2. In terms of 1.1, this is one I think we can all find a way to achieve or work towards, the idea that you're providing materials to students that are customizable by the student. A fixed print hard copy, this is difficult to customize. Digital copies, sometimes, not always, are customizable by the student, giving them greater access to the material. And again, a statement here how you could continue to do that. And the last one, 4.1, involves how you respond and interact and how you navigate, giving examples of how students, even though they're doing the same unit, were able to use technology or not use technology to navigate the resources and activities throughout the unit. And again, a statement for how you could always do that as an instructor. These links up here are live. It will take you to each of these checkpoints with explanations and examples. So if you're wondering about that, you can definitely do that. These images here kind of represent the main idea for the access layer. The idea here of a light bulb representing the ideas you allow students to bring to class to recruit their interest, the ideas you let them formulate. The screen here, kind of with a magnifying glass, to represent how we can change text or digital text to fit our needs, and giving students options for physical action. The idea of kind of the headset here with the earphones and the mouthpiece, the idea that different ways for students to interact with the content. As you scroll down, you'll see that we've got the other layers here. This is your build layer, and the structure is the same. The live links to the checkpoints, the images that represent those ideas. If you're ready to move into some of the build stuff, feel free. It is here for you. And the questions are very similar to what you would see under the access layer. And at the bottom, we have the internalized layer, which is kind of what we're moving towards with UDL style instruction, where again, we have the live links, the images, and the questions that go with it. And at the very bottom, always keeping in mind our goal, create learners that are purposeful and motivated, resourceful and knowledgeable, and strategic and goal directed. And that we work kind of vertically or work down through the checkpoints to kind of get to that place with our students. This is the newly redesigned planner. This is just if you need help, listen to this or watch this again. I also have a copy of this linked in the directions. Thank you.